the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
The Marla and Dave radio experience begins in 3, 2, 1.
Now, if you're ready, we will begin.
Welcome to the Marla and Dave radio show. This is reality radio with a couple that keeps it real. Current events, pop culture, music, relationships, fitness, the hot topics of the day. Marla and Dave Thomas. This is the Marla and Dave radio show. Real radio.
Welcome to the Marla and Dave show. I don't really like this whole synchronicity, choreography, dancey stuff you're doing right now vocally. It sucks. I don't like it.
Well,
Did I say sucks? That's
is
not
my
right.
hair blowing in the wind? Because your lashes are just kind of, as you bat your eyelashes, you know, the wind from the...
Tony, who is he? Who? What happens? It's got to be the studio. He walks to the door, and something strange happens. He could have.
Oh, man.
There was no talk of lash batting in the car. No, not at all.
Actually, I did. Remember, I said, hey, let me close your eyes for a second there?
Okay. Anyway, we have an awesome show in store for you today, and that's what this is. When I started looking into this topic, which you know the whole conversation today is going to be brought to us, or we're going to be discussing with Monica Carter her journey, but she's got a book out called Celibate, Fabulous and Fearless. And so here's the mood.
Red bottoms on the cover. Look, you there?
Wet bottom and one minus a heel. Here's my mood, Tony.
Give me that title. Come and give me that title. Better give me that title. Come and give me that title. And if it ain't no thing, I won't be.
You know what's funny about that? When I first saw the title,
So did
I thought
Tony.
it was title.
So
I
did
was like,
Tony.
oh, she's missing the name of the song.
So did Tony.
I was like, oh man, that means I'm old. Tony, you're with me.
Yeah.
Wow,
Tony was
so
like,
Tony, hit me on my mood.
Cause when push comes to shove, you taste what you're made of. You might bend till you break, cause it's all you can take. You get mad, you get strong, wipe your hair, shake it off, then you stand.
That's right. It's the obstacles of life that make you strong. I guess I'm about to be bionic.
yeah. I know that's right. I already have double muscle rolling up in this mug right here.
I'm about
Nobody
to be
needs an
the-
anabolic steroid if that's what it does it, man. I'm
$6 million man.
And I'm bionic woman right behind him. Trust me when I tell you. Man, let's talk right quick about our week in review. Holy moly is what I have to say. I'm telling you, and some people follow me on Facebook, who gets backed into on a Friday. Someone rear ends me on a Friday, and on Tuesday backs up onto the front of my car.
Yeah, you were like in a monster truck event.
And then yesterday, when we were supposed to be going to kickball, my mother says, I said, of all the days, it's raining. And then as I'm saying that, I said, when it rains, it pours literally. And then bling, your rear left tire's flat. So I have to abandon my trip halfway through to kick your butt in kickball.
Kick my butt in kickball.
Yeah, you lost.
Actually, technically, we didn't
No,
lose,
you lost.
But you were winning. We didn't finish the game.
Okay, first of all, it's officially 5 innings. We went 7.
Because
and we were winning.
And I'm supposed to come up at the bottom of the whatever inning we end on. I'm the bottom of the inning.
Okay, so when you
So
got
we
to the
got rained
bottom,
out.
you were getting your butt kicked. Just say that.
We were down by 2 runs at the bottom.
We were kicking your bottom. That's
Yeah,
the bottom
you were.
line.
You were. But it was we were letting you be close for your birthday.
Okay, stop
Hang in there for
it.
your birthday.
Stop it. There were no freebies going on around here. Anyway, as we mentioned to you before, today's guest has quite a story from being shot, being in an abusive relationship, and then left at the altar. Man, my little flat
strong
tire
as well. She's strong as well.
My little flat tire is nothing compared to. I've seen your sizzle reel, and I've read through a lot of your information, and we are going to be very excited to talk with Monica Carter. When we come back, you won't want to miss it. So be sure that it's an interactive show. So give us a call, 323-284-7826. My head's gone. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Marla and Dave radio show on the Universal Broadcast Network. current events, pop culture, the hot topics of the day. It's time for MaD News on the Marla and Dave radio show. Ladies and gentlemen, Marla and Dave.
Now, honestly, I had a news topic in mind today, but I'm going to, first of all, I wanted to send out a big congrats to Common and John Legend, who won their song for the
the best original song for Glory. Yeah,
in the movie Selma.
Now, you know the bad thing about that is, every now and then when any award show gets criticized for not being colorful enough, so to speak, suddenly they just seem to give out an award. And sometimes, I don't know if I'm
there was only one Black Grammy year, and they did everybody. They even went back into the archives and gave honorary Oscar
to
Sydney.
Oscars.
Oscars. I'm sorry,
Academy
not
Awards,
Grammy.
yeah.
Oscar, and they gave an honorary Oscar to Sidney Poitier.
So
he didn't even have anything else.
If I get the Oscar in that year, is that like a asterisk kind of thing? Like in baseball, if you're taking steroids
only
and
if
you
your
got
gold,
the home run.
Only if your gold man has blackface. I don't know. Then you probably should feel like, man, I really did get juked. But there were some great speeches, which is why I said I wanted to kind of change it for a minute, because I just want to give a big ups to anybody who uses their platform to promote positivity. And that one young man who, my brain is all gone. But anyway, he talked about wanting to kill himself or attempting when he was 16, and saying it's okay to be different and it's okay to be weird.
Well, there was another lady who was saying that she was dedicating it to her son, who actually had committed suicide,
and they ran the music on her.
It's kind of cold-blooded.
Well, that's Oscar. We'll be right back.
This ain't your mama's radio show. Can you handle the truth? Then get ready for a real radio experience. Ladies and gentlemen, Marla and Dave.
Well, like I said earlier, we want to welcome officially Monica Carter. Welcome to the Marla and Dave Show.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Marla and Dave, for having me.
No worries. We're glad we all made it.
Yes, amen.
Well, you've made it through a lot.
Yes.
In life in general. So right quick, can you give us just your own account of how you got here? But even before you go there, here's a question I'd like to ask our audience to be able to call in on.
Okay.
Do you think that a vow of celibacy should be a private matter? Should it be a private vow between you and God, or should it be a public announcement? That's what I'm asking everybody to call in 323 and talk directly to us. Join us in our conversation, 323-284-7826, live right here on the Marla and Dave Show.
Great
so,
question.
Monica, go ahead.
Well, about the celibacy, I mean, it's not, some people act like Monica created this word. This is something that if you're single, God says that you should live, a celibate lifestyle or abstain from having sex. And so my book is a testimony, as you mentioned, Marla.
On the show again.
Yeah, Marla and Dave. So Celibate and Fabulous is for women. That's why you see the woman's shoe. And then Fearless is for men. That's why that has no heel.
That's why it doesn't have a heel.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, so Dave could have Louboutins too.
Wait a minute. Now, they do make Louboutins for men, but a shoe that should have a heel with no heel is kind of...
No, it's not. It's actually a man's shoe if you look close.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. So I'm checking.
For Fearless.
Oh, okay.
I know that what you're used to doing is wearing Ugg slippers. That's not an Ugg slipper.
Yeah.
But that shoe looks like it's running.
Yeah.
Well, she has to show the bottom.
Exactly.
Okay,
so it's something just so that catches your eye, right?
There you go. It does.
All age groups, when they pick it up, they're like, oh, the Louboutins, because that's what people really like
Right.
these days. When they see Celibate, Fabulous, and Fearless, they're like, oh, what is this about? So my book is primarily not just about celibacy. It's like I said, it's about my journey, about my life, growing up in the church, stumbling, not doing what I was
Tell us a little
supposed to
bit
do.
about the journey as it relates to the book. Like, what are
Okay.
the highlights that brought you to this realization and this message
Okay, yeah,
that you're
great
sharing
point.
with the world?
Yeah, so the first, like I said, I grew up in the church, and so
Mm-hmm.
I was dating someone I did not know that they were, besides doing real estate, they were a drug dealer. And so basically...
But you had no idea that
No.
he was a drug dealer.
Right, so I was in tragedy because of that, so I was shot. That's when I got shot. So, but before that, I was in church. So this is the testimony. I was in church that Sunday before I got shot. And so my pastor, I grew up in a smaller church. Currently I go to Faithful Central, Bishop Omer in Inglewood. But I grew up in a smaller church. And so my pastor and first lady at that time didn't play. So I got a prophecy. My pastor was like, God wants you to live right, daughter. And when he, trouble's going to come your way. And when it comes, just call on Jesus. And I'm like, well, what trouble? I'm not doing anything. I'm just fornicating. Like, what's the big deal?
It's just sex, pastor.
Exactly.
It's just one commandment.
Come on.
Right. But this was a prophecy. You know how pastors will go around the church and prophesy, whether it's a great prophecy or whether there's something you need to work on. This was inside the church. And so that was a Sunday. And that Tuesday is when I was approached by some gentlemen.
You still call them gentlemen, at least.
Was this in relation to your boyfriend, though? So it wasn't you, right? This was in negative association.
Exactly.
That was connected to you because of the relationship.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I was leaving his home, and so that's when they approached me. They didn't want me; they wanted him. But instantly, when I was approached, I thought about that prophecy, and I joke in my book that God always has to show me that He's real. Had He not showed me that He was real, my pastor would have never known trouble was going to come. So that's how I know God is real.
Right.
So instantly I said, okay, well, I need to live my life right. I want to start, doing the right thing. And so I believe that God is using me to say that, because oftentimes when you think about living for God, you think about, oh, this person with their shirt all buttoned up to their collar and they're boring.
Right, just
no, you
kind
can.
of boring, a corny person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, you can
Well,
be
He
fabulous.
created all of us.
Yeah, you're fabulous.
Except I have a lot of sex. It's okay.
Well, you're married, Marla, so I'm hoping that you and Dave get it in,
Right. All right. But anyway, so let's move forward then. So it was after you were shot. Correct. That wasn't your full wake up call. Did you get married to something? Was it the drug dealer you married, or did you marry someone else?
No. So we broke up, and I dated several people, but I lived, was trying to live right. A few times I stumbled, and then I was like, in my late 20s, I'm saying, oh, I want to have some sex, just to be honest with you.
Right.
So I connected with this guy. I mean, he did pretty well, and I got married just because, it was a bad situation. We probably shouldn't have gotten married. We were really young.
So let me ask a quick question, interrupting right quick.
Sure.
Are you saying that you got married so you can have sex?
Exactly. Most
Okay.
people
Well,
are not
come
going to
on
admit
now.
that.
We're just going to bring up another question later on, but I'm going to let you finish your story.
We grew up with
I'm going to
that
file that
understanding.
one in the cabinet, in the brain cabinet.
Please do.
A lot of us who grew up in very conservative, really tight Christian religions. That's the way it is.
Oh, no.
People are literally, when you're really trying to do it right, you will get married so you can experience which is interesting because God actually put that in your body very young. So in other words, when you go through puberty, you start wanting to mate or whatever you want to call it.
You're ready to go.
And that's early.
You're technically ready to go.
So there's a lot of restraint, especially now. The people are like, girl, you doing some big things. You're like going into the Celibate Museum in a minute, rolling on here.
Let me jump back before Monica continues and asks another follow-up question.
Sure.
Now, you can file this one away as you continue your story, but
Okay.
was the sex great?
That was okay. And I talk about that too. I've never, one of my girlfriends said, you must not have had anything really great. And I said, no, I don't have anything that I can say, oh, I can't wait to call, Terry or somebody. No, I haven't. So, that was a bad situation. So in my book, I talk about watching your clock. That's a chapter. Mm-hmm. So I got in an abusive marriage, a bad marriage, by watching my clock. He was very angry. He was an alcoholic. And because of that, he was molested as a child. So that's why he was. So that wasn't revealed in marriage counseling.
And how long did you date?
Oh, we dated probably for about 4 months before we got engaged. And we got married within like 9 months or so.
Wow.
Yeah.
So shot, then you throw yourself headfirst into a marriage that actually was anything but something.
Exciting.
Exactly. So he was emotionally and physically abusive.
Yes.
And then let's go to the third, where you find yourself reconnecting, you get into your spiritual walk.
Ooh, yeah.
And so God delivers in your mind somebody who this is Mr. Real.
Right.
This is Mr. Real Right.
Yes.
This is Mr. Righteous.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Mr. Everything.
And Mr. Righteous
Mr.
says so, and he then you get ready to get married. You go through the whole thing. Did he leave you at the altar, or did he let you know like right before the wedding?
No, the day of. It was about probably 7 hours before our wedding. Wow. Yeah. And this was a person like I wasn't
7 hours.
Yes. I wasn't even interested in him when we first met. The second week we dated, he
pursued
lives in
you.
Houston, and he flew out here every week. That's why I tell women, when a man wants you, he will do. He flew 3,000 miles every week to see me. And so I always say, when a man wants you, nobody's that busy.
Right.
People make time for what they want to make time
That's
for. But
true.
he pursued me. The second week I was his wife, and we were going to get married. We got engaged within 3 to 4 months. And we were going to get married like probably 9 to 10 months later. And so, yeah, I didn't even see it coming. 2 months before, I kind of felt like something's going
weird.
on. Something's weird in my spirit, but I would have never thought.
Did you ever
this
go to
person-
Houston?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I have family out there as well.
Okay.
So when he wasn't here, I was there. But yeah, he would tell everybody she's the one for me. It was just what everyone would want, every woman would want,
Right.
But my bishop on the day of, I was just sitting there like, this just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Right.
My
In
mom's like,
shock.
you're awfully calm. And it was just something that the Holy Spirit just came over me, like just to be still. And when Bishop came to the hotel, because I was to get married at the Ritz-Carlton that morning, and he said, daughter, rejection is God's protection. He said, sometimes this looks bad to the world, and I talk about that in my book, but actually this is something that God protected you from, so you got to believe that, even though it hurts and it's embarrassing, it's humiliating,
Right.
but you got to just move on and know it's better than going through it and getting a divorce and when he said divorce, I said, oh yeah, because my divorce was like 2 years long and it was miserable.
Wow.
So yeah, and I got over it. I forgave him because you have to forgive instantly, because I'm not going to block my blessings because of
Right.
what someone else does. So I forgave him and moved on. And some people just don't understand that. But when you grow in the Word and when you build yourself, you have to renew your mind each and every day. It's something I can't even explain.
Right.
God just has a hold on me, and sex is easy to get.
That's true. I'll
Get
say
that right
something.
now if I want.
I'll say something. I'll tell you a
Snap,
quote that I
snap,
told
snap.
one of my friends who was going to come out of her marriage. I said, please don't leave him. And I have to be a little blunt here. I said, please don't leave him on a dick hunt, because there's a dick in every house. Ring the doorbell. If a man answers, there's your dick.
When we come
So the
back,
reality is that's the truth.
When we come back, we're going to let Monica answer the first question, which was, why is a vow of celibacy a public announcement versus a private vow between you and God? And remember, the number to call in is 323-284-7826.
Hey guys, listen up. Learn something. 26 years of marriage from two unique perspectives equals 52 years of relationship experience. It's time for Ask Marla and Dave. Answers to your questions about life, love, and relationship based on Marla and Dave's real life experience. It's about to get real. Ask Marla and Dave.
All right. So here, Ask Marla and Dave is the segment on our show where you can ask us anything that you want, and we'll answer it. So if you don't ask us,
We
can't
can't
tell you. So here's the question for today. Hey, Marla and Dave, my husband and I have always seen eye to eye on most things. Well, until now. We have a toddler, and despite our pre-parenting discussions, he has changed his mind about how we should discipline our son. We agreed that there is never a need or a reason to spank your children, but dealing with our child's difficult behavior, my husband is now a pro spanker. Just looking for some helpful insight with this dilemma. Thanks.
Well,
Beat that.
yeah,
No, I'm
my answer is simple. Every kid is a little different. Temperaments and personalities are different for every human being, and that includes small human beings like children. So some children are very stubborn by nature. Maybe, you're stubborn, you don't want to admit it, or your husband might be stubborn, but some kids need to be spanked as far as I'm concerned. Some kids you can look at, with a stern look and suddenly they behave. Some kids need a little bit more.
I think that we get
But you got to have love.
I was going to say, we get afraid of the word spanking, and we get afraid of a physical consequence. But in reality, if disciplining your child is driven by love, then it's not angry, which is what people associate with spanking.
Absolutely.
So the bottom line is, how's the child going to actually make the best correction? I would always say it's better to be smacked in love than the world smack you down in hate.
So there you go. That's Ask Marla and Dave. We'll be back with Monica Carter.
Welcome back to the Marla and Dave radio show. Marla and Dave want to talk to you. Phone lines are open at 323-284-7826. 323-284-7826.
So Monica, we ask everybody here, and we've got people in the chat room, and Dave can look at this as well, because people will begin to ask questions here as well.
Where they are, and I'm going to get to some of those, but I want to get back to the first question, though.
Right.
Dave want to know.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you think about that? When you take it, your journey took you to basically really practicing the truths and biblical principles as God has asked us, period.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so do you think that that's, when we start talking about, hey, guess what, girl, I'm celibate, or I'll be honest, one of the guys in Dave's group years before he got married was a virgin, and but before he was married, he used to wear a ring of a vow that he
a
took.
chastity ring. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, so in other words, but before you're married,
He's married to God.
It's always opens a conversation where you say, oh, well, I took a vow of celibacy, and it's like a badge.
Right.
And I feel like, okay, that's like saying, I wear a necklace and I say, hey, what are you doing with that necklace? I'm a masturbator. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. If I open up a conversation, so the point is that's really my own,
right?
Experience, my own thing. So what do you think about that being something private versus a public announcement?
Right. Well, first, I just want to say, Marla and Dave, that my book was supposed to be called Finally Mr. Right. And so God gave me this title in January 2014 because I had it was about my ex-fiance. I had put the book down because I've journaled all my life. And so I said, I don't want to do a book. So I have a chapter called Answer the Call, and I was in church, long story short, and we had a pastor that was speaking, and she said someone needs to answer the call, and she said verbatim everything I said the day before. Wow. I'm not a pastor. I don't want to write this thing. I don't want to do so. That celibate, fabulous, and fearless came from God, not me. But to answer your question, I think it's a personal preference. Had I not written this book, it's not something I walk around and say, oh, I'm celibate, most people that know me.
Right.
But now it's a conversation, and I think if you're dating someone, by the third date as a woman, I think you should share, or a man, you should share with them where you come from. I mean, if I'm on a date, sex is going to come up in the first or second date. I mean, it just happens. And so that's
especially now.
Exactly. So that's just my avenue to say, you know what, this is how I live my life. And it helps me and it helps others because I don't want to waste my time and I don't want to waste yours. Because if you're all about wanting to hit it and I'm not
going to let you hit it.
Exactly.
You're not going to use your gong here, buddy.
That leads me back to some of the questions that I was having as you were telling, your story.
Right.
So practically speaking, that could lead someone to say, you know what, I'm in the church and I'm trying to do what God wants me to do. So I'm going to get married, because I really feel the urge and that drive to have sex. But you get there and the sex isn't good. Would it not have been better to actually try it out first, because everybody might not be sexually compatible?
Dave, is that biblical?
It's not biblical.
Does God say sample?
It's not biblical, but everybody's not a Christian.
Dave,
so,
did God tell you to go to the
words,
sexual Costco and eat from the sample, lady?
What I
What's that? No, I'm just joking. But here's the thing. The reason why I say practically speaking, because if I'm not even a Christian or if I don't affiliate with any type of church or any type of religious system,
right?
How would the celibacy still be a practical thing for somebody like me?
I mean, and let me just clear up. When I said that the sex wasn't good with my ex-husband, it was because I didn't like him like me. So it wasn't that connection.
You had no real connection.
Yeah, we had no real connection.
But
I think if you're celibate and you're getting married, I don't think that's hard to figure out. I mean, communication is everything. Before you get married, you can talk about intimacy. You can talk about the things that you like. And I think it's important to talk about those things. I think we put too much on sex. I mean,
I agree, because
I
at the end of the day, that is not the staying power
the core
in the relationship.
No, you have to build a friendship, because when adversity,
I'm telling you, Tony.
Yeah. Mr. Sweet.
Yeah. I'm telling you, sweet man, you better listen to us.
Because when adversity comes into your marriage or someone dies or that's when you really get to know that person. You get to know that strength. And so sex is not going to keep you together. That's why you see so many celebrities or whomever, you would think, wow, they're getting together, that sex is going to be great, but they still break up. So what is it that that man is missing, or what is that woman missing? Sex really, God made it for you to bond during that process, and it keeps you together as a marriage, but you have to have more than just sex.
Monica, there's someone in our chat room who's asking the questions, ask the question to you. Can they ask how old you are?
Sure, I'm 43.
And I think the reason is because they were wondering if that has something to do with your ability and your consciousness to be celibate. In other words, that's something I can do.
When you get older.
I'm not really just feeling that drive right now anyway, so it's whatever.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, no, I've been that way since before I got married and after I was married. So even my ex-fiance, we didn't consummate our marriage, and he was fine with that. He was very well-to-do. and his parents were pastors, and he respected that. He said, I've always wanted a woman who lives their life right, have values, and so you have to just be different. And sometimes you have to be willing to just accept. I've had men say, I'm not with that.
Right.
Or, I'm not there yet. Okay, bye.
Right. There's another question that they're asking, and someone is saying, Beverly is actually saying, do you think the church does enough to support or encourage celibacy?
At my church, we do. I mean, Bishop is not shy of talking about sin and fornication and things like that. But besides the church, I think we put too much onus on the church. You have to know the word on your own as well. You have to study. You have to be at that place. And so I just believe that you have to do your due diligence on your own. But Faithful Central, we do. You know, they support the singles ministry and things like that. So.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The last thing I'm going to say from the chat room is that Tammy said that she grew up in the Kojic church, and that you were pretty much taught that you're going to hell if you have sex before you're married, but they didn't really give good reasons why. They didn't really teach.
But you know what? I think that the whole topic of celibacy, even as you are listening to your journey, it has much more relevance, and it has way more meaning to me, and is rooted differently when you weren't that before.
Exactly.
So it's almost like you can appreciate this. You know the difference. It's like now you can I can only imagine that so many people would avoid bad relationships because you can see clearly. It's not as hard to let go of somebody that's not, knocking it out.
You're exactly right.
It's not that hard. It's easier to see it without that emotional thing, because God forbid he put it down, and then you're like, you can't put him down.
Yeah, I don't want none of
And
that.
like,
Well, that's why I was asking the questions from a more practical perspective versus a straight spiritual perspective. And which kind of leads me to another question. You said that you were married, and before you were married, you were celibate. Of course, in your marriage, you're not celibate. And then after you're married, you return to celibacy.
Right.
And do your urges kind of shift a little bit once you start having sex? Is it easier to be celibate before you have sex, or is it easier to be celibate after you've been having sex and now you got to stop again?
Well, it was a challenge for me when I first started because I had already had sex. And so if you are already, active in that area, of course you're going to yearn for it, you're going to want it, but eventually you want more for your life. And so that's just been my experience. And to Marla's point is that if you're not intimate with that person, you're not tied to that person. So it's easy. If I had been intimate with my ex-fiance and being almost left at the altar, I would have been devastated.
Right.
I wouldn't probably be able to come to this interview.
this is the last straw.
Exactly.
I need a cartridge that'll hold unlimited amount of bullets.
Oh, God. Exactly.
Because I'm flying to Houston.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. That all those things come into play when you are living for God.
Let me ask you this, Monica. Is celibacy in any way for you a way that you protect yourself from heartbreak? Is it a shield?
No, I wouldn't say it's a shield. It's not. It helps me not to get into a situation where someone is not really serious about me.
Does that question imply a bad thing?
No, I just.
No, that's a valid question.
Well, it's a question is how much of it is hiding. When you talk about, you're really talking about going against, like I said, your God design is to be united, even biblically. God didn't design us to be alone.
Right.
So the issue and I didn't say that he designed us to,
But should you just be
busy.
all out in
That's
every
not what I'm
relationship
saying,
before you
though.
get married?
I'm not promoting that for the record. But what I am promoting, or what I am questioning, is how much of it is a shield, how much of it is really a manipulation in a lot of cases, because
That's a good question.
those are the things that we really have to look at, because in today's society it feels like people playing games. That's what I'm saying. It feels like, what? Okay. Like how many ways can you really break somebody down? So we're going to answer that, and we're going to deal with that when we come back from this break.
Absolutely.
It's time for the Marla and Dave Doghouse. Marla has something that should put Dave in the doghouse. Dave has something that should put Marla in the doghouse. You decide who gets a biscuit and who gets busted and ends up in the doghouse.
I know what you're going to say.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Well, what am I going to say?
You're going to say I should go in the doghouse because you're going to accuse me of cheating when Deontay's ball went
you
foul.
do know what I'm going to say. Yeah,
That's
because it
sad.
didn't go foul.
It did, Dave.
The ball, okay, you know how I'm a tennis fan.
This isn't the French
Everybody
Open.
knows that. At the French Open, it's
See?
played on clay. When the ball lands, you don't have to have a dispute about was it in or out. There's a mark in the dirt. When the ball came down, there was a mark in the dirt. The ball
Tony,
was
you have
on
to come out
the
and play
line.
with us. It's out of control. We
The
need
ball
refs
was
too.
on the line. They had a big stink about it. Granted, we we actually kind of had a good compromise in their favor because it was Marla's birthday. And so
Are you done?
we didn't allow the runs to be scored, and we held him to a double.
Are you finished?
When he actually hit a home run.
Okay.
A 2-run home run.
This is about the doghouse, and here's why I'm going to have to shoot dirty because it was my birthday. I think that Dave should go in the doghouse for not taking enough initiative to buy extra chicken wings when he went to the store to cook chicken wings for our son on my birthday. Just because my communication was not on point, he came back with 8 chicken wings. DJ is 25 years old. He'll look at those chicken wings and they'll be gone. You should have just had extra, Dave. You know I'm always going to eat chicken.
Now,
you know I'm going to eat chicken even if it's leftover.
We wanted to go out that night, but and you did. But the bottom line is, when you came home, there was actually chicken left over. Like I said.
Whatever. Okay, so
I'm not even in the doghouse
Dave,
for that very reason. Anyway, I
eat
get the
bone.
biscuit.
No, Dave, eat the bone.
Is that a tasty
Is that a
biscuit?
bone? Eat a bone. Milk bone. Milk bone, Dave.
Girl Scouts? We'll be back.
What's the action?
You'll laugh. You'll learn. You'll love. You'll get mad.
Shut up!
You'll get happy. But you won't be bored. This is the Marla and Dave radio show on the Universal Broadcast Network.
Okay, before we get back into the topic at hand, Sandra in the chat room says, Marla, because it's your birthday, you will not go in the doghouse for any reason.
Oh, sweetie. Thank you, Pumpkin. Thank you for looking out for me. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. My birthday's this year too.
It's in October, though. And don't worry, I won't let him win kickball on his birthday either. But anyway, okay, so we got questions. We got a lot of questions. Beverly Hudson says, I have a question for Monica. Do you think that the church? Oh, that does enough to support. I'm sorry.
Her next question is, why do you think that there's so much embarrassment surrounding someone who says that I'm going to be celibate? Why is that such an embarrassing thing to say? It's like you're the corny person, you're the geek.
She references the movie 40 years.
40-year-old
40-year-old
virgin. Yeah, I think it's so much stigma around. It's like this plague or something, like I'm celibate. It's not a big deal. I mean, it's what, if you're a Christian, like I said, that's what God says you should be doing. It's not like.
But now let's keep it real though, Monica. Here's the real deal. That's true, but God tells us to do a lot of other things that we don't do. I don't know anybody who's living according to the letter of the law spiritually.
Exactly.
So
God says don't lie, and we lie.
We put a lot on things that seem to be weighty or have a lot of public issue. But like I used to tell David's parents and family, overeating is also a sin.
Yes.
So the bottom line is, I'm just saying that, but yet
why are you telling my family that overeating is a sin?
Well, Dave, you know why. I don't want to keep on going
Really?
down this road. But anyway, the bottom
Wow.
line, well, that's because they're very strict.
They're conservative.
They're super conservative Christians. But what I'm saying is, we don't put it. If you're gonna serve the letter of the law, serve the whole thing.
Exactly.
Or be tolerant of the fact that there may be some principles that you think that you can manage better than others.
Right.
But the bottom line is, it's all a sin.
Exactly. And that's my point. It's like, I don't know why celibacy is made such a big deal, because you have unforgiveness. Like you said, you have lying. There's all types of things that God requires you to do. And so that's why I don't really see the big deal about celibacy. It's just like a lie, or like adultery is like many things.
Right.
And so that's why I don't really
take
it to heart like most people do.
So let's talk about the Louboutin, the man shoe. Do you think that and we had an interesting conversation with some single friends of mine who have actually been on the show after our kickball game. We all went out to eat.
Okay.
And I threw a question out, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to read something that he's shy, but I know he would allow me to do this.
Okay.
We talked about being celibate.
Okay.
And I was going to ask you, what do you think is a message that really speaks more to men on this subject? Because I honestly think that when a woman makes up her mind to do that, there's more for us to gain overall, even our respect, to me. I mean, I think that that's an easier thing. Men are very external. That's why I tease all the time. Their babies are all in socks. Ours, we only have a few eggs. We can't waste them.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying. We only get to drop one at a time.
Well, the word says, a man's eyes are never satisfied. So I don't care if you give it to him every night. That is not the all that he needs. And so I think, again, besides sex, you got to have more than sex to satisfy a man and satisfy me. I mean, stimulate my mind. You know, let me get to know where you're coming from. If I need you, or if I, you know, if we have hard times, you're gonna say, "Hey, baby, what we gonna do?" No, you know,
I need a blowjob.
That's one way.
Things are sucking.
Those are things you gotta talk about
Man,
too.
we need other things, but okay, we can start there.
We're starving.
Exactly.
Give me a blowjob.
Not you.
Yeah, some men would be broken and down. They don't care if we're gonna get put out, but give them a blowjob, they'd be fine.
Maybe some men who are here in the studio would be like that. Who knows, Monica? I don't know.
One for the road.
But let me
I
share.
didn't say that, Dave. Mr. Sweet. I didn't say
She said, "Mr. Sweet." Let me share this with you, and I won't call his name again. But when post our conversation, and you'll find this interesting. This morning, I got a text message from this gentleman, and the conversation we had yesterday sparked this response. I kept thinking about he says, I kept thinking about that damn celibate question, and I changed my answer. If she was perfect, and literally my soulmate and best friend, and I enjoyed every aspect of her, then I would at least attempt a relationship without sex. It would be tough, but I would try.
Now, this same person, when the question was originally put forth, what about celibacy?
He was
would
like,
you,
no.
you know, would you continue the date if someone told you that in the first date? He was like, absolutely not. Be checked, please.
Right.
well, fine.
Thought about it, and you know.
But
and
you know
again, that's why I say you have to look at it practically as well, because this person wasn't looking at it from a spiritual perspective.
Right.
You know, was looking at it from a more practical perspective. And so a lot of times I find that as Christians, sometimes we can be so heavenly minded that we're no earthly good, so to speak. And so if you're constantly saying, this is what God says, this is what God says, well, if I don't know anything about God, why?
Exactly.
Just why? What
Well,
does that do me?
That's true, Dave, and that's why you have to be with like-minded people. Everybody's not
Right.
gonna. I mean, that's like atheists. I'm not an atheist, so I can't even relate to that. I mean, that's why you have to be. You can't just date anybody when you are a Christian. You know, there's many different aspects to the word. It's not just about sex. And so if you're gonna sit there with someone and they only think practical, they don't really understand that when you fornicate while you're outside of marriage, that blocks your blessings financially. And for me, you know, I'm not blocking my blessings financially.
Right.
And so if you don't know all the aspects of the word, I can't know more than my husband. You know, I don't want to know more of the word than my husband. So that's not going to work for me. And so I can make a choice. It's not all about the man choosing me. Yeah, a man that find the wife find the good thing, but I get to choose too. I may not want to date you.
Right.
So
And I
You
think
kind of looked at me with a smirk when you said that. I may not want to date you. It's like, ooh, she got me.
Yeah. I mean, as women, we have to stop feeling so gullible. Like we are
Desperate.
the prize. We are the prize,
Desperate.
and we have the power. And like I said, I can have sex tonight if I want to. I'm not even there.
Right.
Is that position something that developed over time because of the experiences that you went through, or did you always have that position?
I heard that since I was growing up as a kid. The church that I grew up in, my pastor and first lady, you talking about knowing the word. I mean, they didn't have to open the Bible to recite the scriptures. So I learned that at an early age, about being your self-worth.
Well,
as
then
a woman.
how did you get with the drug dealer?
she was young.
I was young. I didn't even know that he was a drug dealer. I was young. I'm not perfect. So if a man's looking for somebody perfect, our church is not perfect.
Right.
We make mistakes. And that's why my book is not just about celibacy. It's about relationships. It's about how you persevere. It's about friendships. It's about a lot of things. It's about growing up as a child and parenting different things. And so I can't tell you how many women, Marla and Dave and Mr. Sweet, that women have said, after reading my book or hearing me speak, they are, they were suicidal or depressed. And so that's what it's all for. It's not about for me to promote, I'm celibate. That's
Right.
not, that's
Right.
not what I'm promoting. I'm promoting that you can, just because you go through adversity, look at my life. And most people are not transparent. Most people are not going to say, I got married to have sex. My book is not a button-up Christian story.
Right.
Trust me. Most people are like, I would have used a pen name if I was you. No, and that's the problem. That's why most people can't get saved. And they look at marriages and like, that's perfect. Nobody has a perfect
Nobody
marriage.
has a perfect marriage, right, Dave?
Absolutely.
Well, right. So I'm, and I'm glad you brought that point forward, because that's what I was going to ask you. To me, I wanted you to pinpoint. I wasn't going to let you leave today without pinpointing the message of what it is at the core that is your particular ministry and motivational message. And you just spoke to it. Now, my other question I got to ask you is, so now that you've done all the work
Mm-hmm.
and you're in this place, because I understand where the celibacy thing comes in.
Okay.
But Mr. Right,
Mm-hmm.
what's the prophecy? In other words, is there somebody that are you ready to receive that, or do you feel like marriage is that's not even a focus? Are you looking for him?
I'm not looking for me. He's gonna find me. I am. Yeah, I'm ready to. Yeah,
You're ready to receive.
The snaps are
I'm ready
raining.
to receive. And I said, I'm a love like never before. I'm not bitter. I'm not upset. Like I said, I forgave my ex-fiance. I wish him the best. And oftentimes that's, again, in a relationship, when you first meet someone, you guys are so in love and, they're the best thing since sliced bread. Then soon as some adversity or you guys break up, I can't stand that person. I'm not like that. I wish him all the best. If you say you love someone, you want the best for them. And so, I'm a love like never before.
All right. I'm not even mad. And she did bat her eyelashes, too.
I love it.
She did this.
There's
I'm a love like never
There's
before.
a lot of wind flying around the studio with these eyelashes today.
Woo, honestly, she kind of scared me. I'm trying to
See?
decide, should there be emergency vehicles outside her situation? I don't know.
I'm just very passionate, Marla. My platform is empowering women, and from them seeing my story, that you don't have to lay in the bed, you don't have to be woe is me. You got to get back up because you're going to go through things in life, but how do you get through it? You know?
Okay, hold that question. We'll be right back.
Yes.
It's time to play the Marla and Dave Love Game. Here are Marla and Dave to explain how it works.
Okay, the MaD Love Game, as you know, is a game that was created by Marla and me. It has 3 categories: sex, communication,
and finance.
It's played by rolling a single die, and the die has those categories on it, but it also has the MaD logo, which is wild. When it lands on the wild, you can choose what you want to. Sex. Just joking. But we're going to let our guests have the honors of rolling the dice today. Monica, if you can take this and roll that for me.
All righty. Lose a turn.
Okay, well,
I'll
roll it again. Roll it again.
That's a
That
logo.
is sex.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, sex.
That is sex.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
It's sex. What do you know? Maybe we're trying to tell you something, Monica.
I should have some sex tonight. That's what you're telling me.
Stay
Monica.
tuned for her book. It's coming. No, I'm just kidding.
Monica, your question is, what is the average size of an erect penis?
Woo.
Now, you might be a little out of the game lately, but no, just joking.
Just bat your eyelashes 3 times like Dorothy did. You click your heels. Just go 1, 2, 3. You'll have an answer.
I don't know what you consider average, but you're asking me what would I prefer?
No, we're not asking you. No, Monica, stop.
That's going to say a little bit too much.
Monica.
Average, 8 inches?
Wow, you're very lofty.
That's
out
like,
there. That's
what was
average.
that?
That means there's some that are what, 20?
What was that?
Some that are 1. I mean, that's an average. So I'm just thinking.
That's like that movie. What's the movie with the giraffe and the lion and
elephant?
the zebra?
Oh, Madagascar.
You huge.
Oh yeah, the hippo.
Anyway,
that is hilarious.
the average size, Monica, is actually 5 to 6 inches.
You know what
5
though?
to 6. Wow.
You know what, Monica? I'm not mad at you.
I'm glad I'm waiting because
Now, here's what makes the game fun. Here's what makes the MaD Love Game fun. After, when you're playing with your friends or a group of people, though we keep it real, there's always a question for further discussion.
Okay.
Does size matter?
I've never had that problem, so I would just say if you're really in love with that person, I think that's
Okay,
probably
this is when
won't
you get to
even-
make it personal. Does it matter to
Yeah.
you?
no. I don't
She's
like
saying
what's
that
your-
Okay,
if you're,
okay.
there's
If I-
more to sex than
Okay,
just a
okay,
relationship
okay.
than just
yeah,
the sex. So
yeah. I think if you really love somebody, you're really in love with them. Like my ex-fiance was the only person I've ever been in love with.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think you make it work. Whatever
Really,
you have.
Monica? Could you go to the love stage if it was like this? Not my whole finger. Just my
okay, well,
fingernail.
thank you for playing the MaD Love Game. We're going to get back to the show.
David is a thinker.
I never do anything without thinking about it first.
Marla is a feeler.
I basically wear my personality on my sleeve.
But when Marla and Dave get together, it's like a match dancing with a firecracker. This is the Marla and Dave radio show on the Universal Broadcast Network.
Okay, so before we jump back in, we usually have the poll question.
We
but
have a poll
Marla-
question.
Oh, we do?
We sure do, Dave.
Oh,
Would you like for
okay.
me to take over right here?
I think I would.
Okay. So this week's poll question that we've been asking, this will be the last week,
Which is what I was going to say.
Should the Marla and Dave show move from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.? But we've already decided that we definitely, starting in March, will be taking on a new time slot here for the Marla and Dave show. We'll be on from 6 p.m. to 7:30. So for all of those who've been complaining that our show's not long enough, we want more, well, you're going to get more. You ask for more, you're going to get more. That's
Marla,
it.
That's exactly what I was going to say anyway.
Well, then there's a new poll.
www.marlandave.com is where you find the poll question. Log on, weigh in. We'd love to hear from you.
And so this week's poll that you're going to be voting on here on the Marla and Dave show is very in line with our topic.
When someone decides to take a vow of celibacy, should it be a private matter or a public announcement?
I think it should be private. It just really depends on the situation. So I happen to have a book.
I wrote a book about it. You want to hear it? Here it goes.
Yeah, but
That's
again,
funny.
it's not just about celibacy. When people open it, they're like, oh, it's not even, it empowers
Right.
me as a woman. And that's my platform, empowering women.
Okay.
But it's not something I go around saying, oh, I'm celibate.
Right. Right. It's
But
not
it's
like
a
Monica
private-
Carter, celibate.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
No,
Perfect.
No.
There you go. So we'll be right back.
Can you handle the truth? This is modern American dialogue in a mad world from two unique, fresh, transparent perspectives. This is the Marla and Dave Radio Show.
Now, I would be remiss if I didn't actually remind you guys of the charity this month for the Marla and Dave Show. It is
Us.
the Marla and Dave Show. Anyway, www.patreon.com/The Marla and Dave Show is where you can support the Marla and Dave Show.
And it's an ongoing support, so it's not like a lot of the crowdsource funding where you're raising a lot of money to accomplish one big project. We need your support on a regular basis. Number one, we like to keep the Marla and Dave Show commercial free. Isn't it kind of cool that we don't run commercials throughout our show? I think it's cool. Plus, we have a lot of special projects coming up that require financial attention. We'd like to start an actual music festival on the island of Kauai, and we're going to have to raise some money.
We need your help.
And we'll do it every year. But anyway, so in the meantime, I got to ask Monica this question before we go. Monica, Sandra Hawkins asked, are you celibate in all forms of your sexual activity, or is it just intercourse?
It's celibacy in all aspects. I mean, if I'm going to have to masturbate, I might as well get the real deal. I mean,
I'm
that's
not- girl.
That's sexual immorality.
If it has to,
as
if I
well.
have,
So if I got to do that, I might as well go on and get the real deal.
I agree with her. If I have to masturbate, it needs to be hot with veins. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Don't
Well,
say-
if I need the help, here I am.
Anyway, so and I want you to give a takeaway because we do know, and I'm going to remind everybody, please get the book. It's called Celibate, Fabulous, and Fearless.
Well,
And
let's ask Monica, how can they get the book?
Yeah, well, it's on Amazon.com and BarnesandNobles.com.
Perfect.
That's how they can purchase it.
Now, where can someone hear you speak?
Wherever I have a website. It's www.mrc-entllc.com. So wherever I speak, then I'm going to be posting things, or on social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
what are your tags there?
Twitter is at Miss Carter Selfab, and Instagram is author Miss Carter Selfab, and then I have a Facebook fan page, which is Miss Carter Selfab. So
Okay.
that's CELFAB.
Fantastic. So
Yes.
there you have it. And we again, we always feel like it's too short. I feel like it's too
I
short.
know we have much more to talk about.
Absolutely.
really-
We will.
It's
We'll
getting
do it
hot.
again.
Yeah, I really did enjoy our time, and I'm looking forward to the next chapter of your life as God continues to lead you. Because
Thank you.
I'm very glad to know that there is someone who keeps it real and lives according to spiritual principles, and has been called to share it,
Thank you. Thank you.
which is a calling. So I appreciate
Absolutely.
that. So
and we thank all of you for joining us here today. We love you. We have a lot to talk about.
when are we going to get to talk to Tony? Tony, we sometimes we just
In
want
about
to keep
5
it,
minutes.
sometimes we want to just keep it sweet.
I just
what
want
I'm
to say
saying.
thank you guys for having me on the show. Tony, Dave, Marla, I really appreciate it.
Oh,
Had a
for
ball.
sure.
Absolutely.
Well, we got to
Thank
get you
you.
out to play kickball.
Yes.
It's a mad world.
Next week, please join us. It'll be a mad world and it'll be a mad house because we have our daughter Monique coming in to co-host, and whatever surprise
Wow.
guest that she's bringing through. So love and hip hop up in the house next week.
See ya.